Hi, this is the voice, Michael Chavello. You're listening to the Premium Oddscast, hosted by leading MMA oddsmaker Nick Kalikas, fight scientist and author of Fightnomics Reed Kuhn, and MMA journalist Brian Hemminger. The absolute best UFC betting info, picks, statistics, and analysis from the most respected authority in mixed martial arts betting, MMAOddsBreaker.com.
Welcome to the Premium Oddscast, presented by 5 Dimes and hosted on MMAOddsBreaker.com. I'm Brian Hemminger, joined today by leading mixed martial arts oddsmaker Nick Kalikas to break down this Saturday's UFC on Fox 13 event, which takes place in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, if you're unfamiliar with our format, myself and Nick will be breaking down the fight card from top to bottom, providing extensive analysis and a pick for each fight after doing our film study for the event. Then fight scientist Reed Kuhn will step in and offer his expansive numerical insight on all bouts with sufficient data. Today, Reed will be able to contribute on 5 total bouts. Now also pay special attention to MMAOddsBreaker.com when we post our staff picks, usually about 24 hours before the event, where that'll be our official and final predictions in case we make any last minute changes. Now, briefly looking back at the last event, our premium package bets for UFC 181 went 3-1 to win 4.94 units overall. Every bet was 2 units. We won our bets on Josh Salmon and Clay Collard, as well as a parlay that included Tony Ferguson and the under 1.5 rounds total in Anthony Hamilton-Todd Duffy fight. And our lone loser of the night was a 2-unit bet on Matt Hobar. Now, if you're interested in getting MMA Oddsbreaker Premium, we are holding a special holiday sale where you can get 4 events for the price of 2. And of course, all multi-event packages are guaranteed. So if you don't win money, you will get another package for free. So you can sign up for that by going to MMAOddsBreaker.com. It should be plainly available in the top right corner of our homepage. Back to the present. UFC on Fox 13 features a 12-fight card in total and will be aired on Fox this Saturday night. Let's dive right in. Now, kicking off the preliminary card on UFC Fight Pass is a bantamweight contest between Anthony Burchak, who's 11-1, taking on Ian Entwistle, who's 8-2. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
I opened Burchak minus 315 to come back on Entwistle plus 235, and right now it's minus 260 for Burchak to come back on Entwistle is plus 180. So a little bit more dog action coming in on Entwistle. Let me just say this, the lines are all courtesy of 5dimes.eu, and at the time of the recording, 5 Dimes is the only sportsbook that is offering the complete Fox card. So check those guys out, and all lines from here on out that I'm quoting are going to be courtesy of 5dimes.eu. So the early action coming in on Entwistle is not a huge surprise. I mean, Entwistle is a beast. He's dropping down to 135, and he's a finisher underground. That's how he gets all of his wins, basically. He's got 1 win by knockout, but the rest of them are by submission, minus that DQ. But he's a very talented fighter. When he gets the fight to the floor, you gotta watch your legs, you gotta watch your neck. I mean, he has a solid grip, and he definitely has some technique to end and finish a fight quickly. So that's the danger that Burchak's going to face here, the first few minutes especially, because beyond that, though, Entwistle does have some problems. I mean, his cardio is not that great. He's basically your one-round wonder, so he's going to be very dangerous early on. But if you can weather that early storm, you should be in good shape. And Burchak's the kind of fighter, the experienced fighter that he is. He's the former MFC bantamweight champ. And he's a very talented guy all around, but his one blemish on his resume is by submission. So that is the intriguing part of this fight. I mean, Burchak's flaw sometimes is getting put in a bad spot on the ground, getting in a position that he shouldn't really be in, and his opponents could sometimes take advantage. Now, more times than not, he's managed to get out of those bad spots, put himself in a better spot, and end up doing relatively well, obviously, with his record being 11-1. So he's more of the complete fighter. I think Burchak has several advantages in his fight. It's not going to be easy for Entwistle to get him down. He's got a wrestling base. Burchak is going to be the better striker. He's got a submission game to go along with it. So he can grind you out. He can finish you on the feet. He can submit you. Burchak is just a better complete fighter. So Entwistle's going to have a short, limited time frame to get the win here. And I really don't think, I'd be surprised, I should say, if he does get the win here. I think Burchak, I mean, he's been waiting a while to make his UFC debut. I think he's going to be a hungry, be a talented, be a motivated fighter to get that W here. And he knows what he's up against Entwistle. So I think that Burchak is going to get the W here. I think that he's going to be able to weather that early storm and probably finish this fight relatively in impressive fashion and quick. So my official pick is going to be Burchak. And at the current line, with the droppage here, I could see Burchak being included in some parlays, to be honest with you. So it's not a dog or pass situation. To me, in my opinion, it's kind of a favorite or pass situation, depending on what the odds end up closing or what spot you get it at. And at minus 260, there could be potentially some value in Burchak.
Yeah, I really do like Burchak. He's a very entertaining fighter, very entertaining personality. Comes over as the MFC bantamweight champion, and he does a lot of things really well. Very good scrambler, very solid striker, and against somebody like Entwistle, then while Entwistle is dropping down a weight class, which should give him a bit of an advantage, I still don't see that helping him with his biggest problem, which is his conditioning. Man, this guy is so crazy in the first couple minutes of a fight. He will go for the kitchen sink. He will try every submission he can possibly consider from every angle. And if that doesn't work, he loses. Plain and simple. So against less experienced grapplers that cannot avoid his submission skills, Entwistle will go in and just completely steamroll them. And he'll look like the best fighter in the world. But against guys that know what they're doing, guys that can defend heel hooks and all kinds of other really quick, lightning fast submission attempts, Entwistle gets exposed so badly. He is not a good striker. He does not take ground and pound well. And, he could probably be submitted too once he gasses, but most of the time he just, like in his UFC debut, just ran out of steam super quick and then just got completely dominated with elbows from Daniel Hooker. Now, granted, that was at featherweight, but he spent his career at featherweight. This is his first cut down. And, I really do not think that dropping a weight class to bantamweight is going to fix his conditioning problems. That's a training problem. So, we'll see. I mean, Entwistle is an exciting fighter when he's actually getting things done. But, from my perspective, it seems like this is a great opportunity for Anthony Burchak to come in here and really make a name for himself with a solid performance, because as long as he can weather that early storm from Entwistle, then it's Burchak's fight to lose. He's either going to win by TKO or submission, either the end of the first round or early in the second. So, my pick is going to be Anthony Burchak. Now, sticking with the bantamweight division, we have former gold medal winning wrestler Henry Cejudo, who is 6-0, taking on Dustin Kimura, who's 12-2. Now, Nick, what's the MMA oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
Cejudo opens minus 215, the comeback on Kimura plus 165. And looking over at the line right now at 5 dimes, it's Cejudo minus 290, the comeback on Kimura's plus 210. So obviously some action coming in early on the Olympic gold medal wrestler in Cejudo. I can understand it. Kimura is definitely going to be an interesting test for Cejudo. First of all, this fight's at 135. Dana White won't let Cejudo fight at 125. He's forcing him to fight at 135 because of the weight issues that Cejudo's had. And I can totally understand it. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to the point where, you have all this talent, you're this hyped prospect, you have the Olympic credential to go along with it, and you can't make weight. Frustrating, to say the least, because, I mean, Cejudo has a huge upside to him, and he's a very talented prospect, no doubt about it. So 135 is going to be an interesting weight class for him. I'm not sure how long he stays there or if he's going to plan on staying there for a while until he can get his weight issues sorted out. But Kimura is going to be a tough test. It's not going to be that easy. I mean, Kimura on the feet continues to improve, but obviously we all know Kimura's best attribute is definitely the ground game. He's a BJJ whiz, so he can submit you on the floor. His stand-up game's getting to the point where he's getting a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more confident, standing up as well. But that is not a good idea in this case with the Cejudo, because I think Cejudo can actually, for being more of a wrestler, grappling-based fighter in his own right, his stand-up's pretty good. I mean, his boxing is coming around pretty nicely. He's developing that skill set. He's got some power on the feet to go along with it. Obviously, Cejudo can take the fight to the floor most times, when he wants to in most cases, and control the fight that way, but he doesn't really have to in this fight. I think he can keep the fight standing. Now, he's going to be at a reach disadvantage. I mean, Kimura is going to have a significant reach advantage for sure, 71 inches, I believe, to 64, so that's going to be kind of hard to deal with, but with his speed and with his power, and he definitely does have the better boxing of the two, he could do some damage standing. Now, if he does take the fight to the floor, Kimura with that ground presence that I just mentioned with being a jiu-jitsu whiz. He definitely has some problems though as far as getting controlled underground. And if you can avoid the sub game and you can avoid the guard work from Kimura, you can control him and you can beat him. And I think Cejudo's going to be capable of doing that as well. So this is a tough spot. It's a hard debut. It's not an easy fight for Cejudo, but the way these guys match up, I mean, Cejudo's going to have the advantage standing. He's going to have the advantage underground. It's just a stern test, I think, for Cejudo here, but a test that I think he's going to pass in more cases and more times than not. So I think it's Cejudo's fight to win or lose. And hopefully he does get the nod because, I mean, we're all expecting some really good things from him. I mean, the fact that Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling and he's that special of an athlete, I mean, there is a lot of good things from him to come, I think. So if he does everything right and he comes away with a victory here, gets a little bit of confidence under his belt, and then again, down the road, we can see what he does as far as weight issues go. Maybe he drops down to 125. Maybe he continues fighting at 135 and has some success there. But he's definitely that talented that he can do some damage in either weight class and make it towards the top for sure. So Cejudo's a special talent, and hopefully he shows it here. So my pick officially is going to be Cejudo.
And I agree. Dustin Kimura just doesn't quite have that level of talent to really put himself over the edge in the bantamweight division. And Henry Cejudo is an elite athlete, and if he can get in there and take care of business on the personal side, then he should win this fight. On the feet, Cejudo isn't amazing, but I mean, he was a Golden Gloves boxer. I don't know how important that really is, but he can hold his own on the feet. He probably can outwork Kimura on the feet because Kimura really isn't much of a stand-up striker. And on the ground, Kimura is, while he does have a dangerous guard, Cejudo is an Olympic-level wrestler with those tremendous grappling instincts. So if he gets on top position, I don't see how Kimura could catch him in something that Cejudo wouldn't either be able to power out of or just smoothly transition out of. I mean, the guy has all the potential in the world to be a really terrific fighter. Now, obviously, he's a head case. The guy has missed weight and pulled out of a ton of fights. There's been so many things going wrong with Henry Cejudo. As Nick mentioned, Dana forcing him to fight a weight class up. So he is going to be giving up a little bit of size, but I just think his raw athleticism and wrestling ability should be able to help him overcome that. Now, if he can ever drop down to flyweight and compete at his natural weight class, I think he has the potential to be tremendous and, you know, a guy that could be fighting for a title someday. But who knows? Like, seriously, this guy, it's tough to get a read on him on just how passionate he really is about the sport. So we're going to find out a lot of answers about Henry Cejudo, and it all starts with this bout against Dustin Kimura, and he should be able to win. I mean, if George Roop can take Kimura down and avoid submissions and just stay in his guard for up to 3 rounds and win a decision, then Henry Cejudo should easily be able to do that. So I'm going to pick Henry Cejudo, and I expect him to win relatively convincingly and get his UFC career off to a good start. Now, moving up to the lightweight division, we have David Miocic, who is 7-1, taking on Garrett Whiteley, who is 8-2. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
I opened Miocic minus 185, the comeback on Whiteley plus 145, and looking over the line right now, a little bit of movement on this fight, and it's coming in towards Miocic. It's minus 230, the comeback on Whiteley is plus 170. Not a ton of respect out there amongst the diehard MMA fans for Whiteley, of course, so I'm not really that surprised. He is getting up there in age a little bit. He's 33 years old, where Miocic is a little bit of the younger, I guess, fresher fighter at age 26. More of an upside to Miocic as well. But Whiteley might be a little bit underrated here. I mean, he's a long, lanky, overall skilled fighter. I mean, the guy has some striking ability. He's got some submission ability. I mean, training with the likes of Chris Lytle and crew in Indy. I mean, you know he's going to have that well-rounded skill set to go along with it. The problem is he lets aggressive fighters control and cause damage along the way, in most cases. And that's what Miocic is. He isn't that, I think, great yet as far as skill set goes in Miocic, but at the same time, he is dropping down to 155, where he made his UFC debut actually at 170, and he took that fight on short notice against Lee. So Miocic is coming down to a more natural weight class that he belongs in again. He is a very strong, powerful guy, but he is that kind of aggressive fighter that looks to push the pace, that looks for takedowns and control. And if Whiteley does not get the finish, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, he's probably going to lose a decision to Miocic here in this spot. It should be an interesting matchup again. It's not one that you could have much confidence in, I think, either way, because both these guys are defensively flawed in some areas. Miocic, of course, I think he tends to slow down as the fight goes on, so he's got some cardio issues to be concerned about a little bit. But that should be a little bit better here in this fight, because he isn't coming in on this fight on short notice. He's going to have a full camp. And he was pretty competitive in his fight with Lee. So we give him that. But overall, I think Miocic is a little bit more well-rounded, maybe not as dangerous at times, but he does have some solid stand-up, pushes forward, throws with power. He's got pretty good clinch game, and he looks for takedowns and control. And he does, as far as submission skill set goes. I mean, Miocic has a very dangerous guillotine choke, so if he gets your neck, you could be in some trouble there as well. So I'm expecting a back-and-forth battle. Again, with both these guys being a little bit defensively flawed. Who knows if this fight's going to hit the cards or not, but I think it probably will, and if it does, I think Miocic's going to be the one that ends up kind of sneaking away with the decision. I think he wins a 29-28 type of decision here, if there's not a finish. So it's hard to pick Whiteley in this spot, but I do think he is being a little bit overlooked in many ways. But again, I know that there's more upside to Miocic, so it's hard to argue that. So my official pick is going to be Miocic.
And I agree. I mean, neither of these guys has picked up a UFC win, and neither of them have looked good in all three of their combined octagon appearances. But at least with Miocic, he was fighting up a weight class against a bigger, stronger guy, a fight that he lost by split decision, which he still should have won if he hadn't fought the way he did. So he was disappointing in his UFC debut, but he didn't do anything that made me think he's going to lose this fight. Garrett Whiteley, it's pretty obvious at this point that he picked up all 8 of his wins on the regional circuit against guys that, just had no business being in the cage. And if he was going to do anything in his MMA career, I think he would have done it by now. He's getting up there in years. Both of his appearances inside the UFC have not ended well. The Vince Pichel fight, he got absolutely annihilated with a ton of takedowns and wrestling, and then in his UFC debut, he obviously got knocked out pretty early in the first round. So I just don't see anything really from Garrett Whiteley. I mean, he's a little long, he has a little bit of power, he's kind of awkward on the feet, but he doesn't present enough danger that I think Miocic should be too worried about him. And with Miocic, I think his wrestling is going to come through here. He does train out of the lab, and that should help in terms of game planning and the people that he's working with, iron sharpening iron. So, this should be Miocic's fight to lose, as long as he follows a similar game plan to what Vince Pichel did, where, he just gets in there, buries his head in Whiteley's chest, and just repeatedly drags him to the canvas. If he can do that and stay on top and avoid any really stupid mistake, then Miocic should win this fight. But, he was supposed to do that in his UFC debut. Even if it was at welterweight, he should have done it anyway. And we'll see. So neither of these guys are going to be contending anytime soon. Neither of these guys are even going to be mid-tier fighters anytime soon, in my opinion, in the UFC. This is probably a loser leaves town match, especially for Whiteley, so he's got that motivation. But I just don't think his skills are good enough that can make up for that. So I'm going to go with David Miocic, but both of these fighters are very flawed. Now, kicking off the Fox prelims, we have Joe Ellenberger, who is 15-1, taking on Brian Barberena, who is 9-2. Now, Nick, what's the MMA Oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
Up in Ellenberger, minus 290, the comeback on Barberena, plus 210. And the line staying steady, no movement at all. It's minus 290 still for Ellenberger, plus 210 for Barberena. A tricky fight, for sure. I mean, Ellenberger, of course, has the name recognition out there, the hype out there. a lot of hype coming into his last fight against Mutasri as well, which obviously, I mean, we bet Mutasri, so we feel like Mutasri should have won the division, and Ellenberger was fortunate to pull it off. But let me just say this. Ellenberger showed me a lot of toughness and a lot of heart, because he was just getting destroyed in that fight early on, and he managed to survive and do enough to make it at least interesting on the scorecards. And it's hard to argue. I mean, you know, that fight with different judges, it could have been different, obviously decision, but it's hard to argue that he didn't put himself back in that position to make it interesting on the scorecards and win that fight. So I have a lot of respect for Ellenberger and that aspect of it. And I mean, he showed a tremendous amount of toughness and heart for sure. No doubt about it. But getting into the skill set here, Ellenberger, of course, he's got decent stand-up skill, but he's, unlike his brother, I mean, his brother, Jake, is obviously well-rounded. He's known for his wrestling, but he's known more for his punching power. In my opinion, this Ellenberger is obviously, Joe is a little bit better in the grappling department than he is the stand-up game. I mean, he can knock you out on the feet too. He's got some power, no doubt about it. And his boxing's not bad, but I think where he really excels is in the grappling game. I mean, he gets the takedowns. He looks to, drop some ground and pound, positional control, looks for the submission. And he's got a pretty sneaky good sub game, no doubt about it. So I am really impressed with his groundwork overall. Even if you put Ellenberger in a bad spot, he manages to, kind of reverse things and get out of a bad position and get himself in a better spot. So his fight IQ, I think overall is pretty solid, especially on the ground. It's really well, put together. So you got to give Ellenberger a lot of credit there. In this matchup with Barberena though, Barberena, he's got a little bit of hype coming into this, not that much, but he is the king of the cage lightweight champion. He trains out of the MMA lab, so again, he's with a good camp, and he's gonna have that going for him as well. So and these guys were supposed to fight a while back, so Mutasri actually came in as a replacement for Barberena, a while back, so they kind of know each other. They game planned for each other before, and they're going to be prepared for this one as well. But getting back to Barberena here, he is powerful on the feet, but a little bit slow in my opinion. I mean, you kind of can see some of the punches coming. He's a little bit predictable. In my opinion, the best attribute of his overall stand-up game is actually his clinch work. I mean, he's got good knees and dirty boxing with some, elbows mixed in as well. So he could do some damage when he gets you up against the cage and in the clinch. As far as ground game goes, that's where Barberena, I think, suffers the most. Now, again, he's training with the guys over MMA Lab, so he's going to constantly improve in that area, in that department. But even though he's shown some decent ground awareness, I think that he can be put on his back, he can be controlled a little bit, and he could be out-grappled with good grapplers, and that's exactly what he's facing in Ellenberger here. Now, when Barberena gets on top, he could do some damage. He has good ground and pound. He can control the fight and do much better, of course, but being put on his back does not bode well for him. And I think Ellenberger's probably going to get him in that position here. So I don't think that Barberena is actually as much of a threat to Ellenberger as Mutasri was in his last fight. So this should be kind of a step down in competition for Ellenberger. You can't look past Barberena at all, no doubt about it. I mean, I think he's going to show up and look better than he does even on tape, in this spot here, and he'll make things interesting for sure. But I was impressed with the way Ellenberger handled himself in the last fight, with all that toughness and the fight IQ on the ground. I think it's going to get him the victory here as well. I think he's going to end up putting Barberena in some bad spots. Could see a finish here, by submission, because he might get in a dominant position. But, if not, I think Ellenberger's going to do enough to at least grind him out and control the tempo of the fight for 3 rounds. So for me, it's a fairly confident pick. I think Ellenberger, unless he just doesn't show up and he's a shell of himself, I think he's going to do some damage here and get the victory. So he's going to be 2-0 in the UFC. So my pick officially is going to be Ellenberger.
Yeah, and while Ellenberger didn't quite impress me in his UFC debut against Mutasri, as Nick mentioned, I did think he lost that fight. It was close. And what Ellenberger did show was a lot of heart. I mean, he lost that first round convincingly, and he had to dig deep, and he came back, and he won the last 2. That's something I don't think his brother could actually do, because his brother, Jake, he starts strong and then fades. So if he loses early, I don't see how Jake could ever come back. So he does have that going for him. He has that really good warrior spirit. And against Barberena, I think that Ellenberger's grappling is going to be a huge factor in his victory here. Barberena is a pretty good kickboxer. He does come from a kickboxing background. The problem, though, is while he is okay at range, he's actually better up close in the clinch. He does a lot more damage when he gets inside. And if he tries to get inside against Ellenberger, I just think he's going to get dragged to the canvas. Barberena is going to be a little taller, a little longer, but I think that actually gives him a bigger fulcrum, which will be easier for Ellenberger to take him down. So, I really do think that this fight is going to boil down to Ellenberger trying to drag this fight to the ground while Barberena tries to either stay standing, stay in the clinch, or if it goes to the ground, either get right back to his feet or somehow get on top, maybe stuff a takedown and start dropping some punches, because Barberena actually does have some decent damage when he's in top position. I just don't see him winning a grappling exchange with Ellenberger, who is the superior wrestler. Ellenberger is just going to be a little too scrappy for him here. So I'm going to pick Ellenberger to win. I really don't think there's anything else you have to say. Barberena, honestly, he was a bigger underdog against Ellenberger than Muntasri would have been. And if Ellenberger can beat Muntasri, I know it's not MMA math or anything, but he should be able to beat the king of the cage champ.
Moving on to the middleweight division, we have Ed Herman, who is 22-9 with 1 no contest, taking on Derek Brunson, who is 12-3. Now, Nick, what's the MMA oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
I opened Brunson minus 230, the comeback on Herman plus 170, and the lines kind of went crazy a little bit here. All one-way action early on. Now I should note, again, this is a fresh line, relatively new to the sportsbook, so there's going to be a lot more action coming in. Right now it's Brunson minus 350, the comeback on Herman plus 250, so the lines escalated quite a bit on Brunson. I can understand why, though. I mean, it's Brunson's kind of fight to win or lose. He's looked very impressive lately. He's getting better for sure in his overall skill set. But he's the wrestler, the grinder, the guy that typically gives Ed Herman problems. I mean, that's what we're going to see in this fight probably as well. I mean, Herman's a tough guy. He's a well-rounded, fighter for sure. I mean, he's got submission skill, he's got knockout skill, he's got wrestling skill, but against good grappling-based fighters, that's been Herman's kryptonite. And Brunson excels at the wrestling department, excels at the grappling department. I mean, he looks to take fights to the floor, and once he has you on the floor, he can usually control you, pass your guard, land some ground and pound, look for the submission. He could do a lot of good things on the ground for sure. Now Herman, again, he has that submission skill, but against guys that are capable of avoiding a lot of that stuff, or can neutralize the submissions out, he doesn't fare too well against them. So I think Herman's going to have to sprawl and brawl here, try to keep things on the feet, and land that devastating knockout blow. Brunson does have a suspect chin, no doubt about it. I know that, he's been in there recently with some heavy hitters, Houston, Romero, even Larkin, and he survived well. Even, I guess you could go back to Levin too. And Brunson has not been KO'd, well, minus Romero. Romero late in that fight, he got, knocked out there, of course. But overall, Brunson's fought some heavy hitters and he survived fairly well. And Herman, though, on the other hand, he has looked a little bit more flawed, and his defense is horrible. He gets hit quite a bit, but his chin is pretty tough. As he gets older, though, and as time progresses, and he keeps on taking that kind of punishment, I'm not sure how much more he could take, really, or if that's basically to eat punches, is a good thing for sure. So even though Brunson doesn't really excel in the stand-up game, his stand-up is getting better. He's going to be longer. He's going to have, I believe 4 inches on the feet, and he has a little bit of power. So Brunson could hang with him a little bit on the feet, but I definitely think that's where it's Herman's fight to win or lose. I think even though his strike defense is horrible, he does have a better chin at this point still, even than Brunson. So that's Herman's way to win. I just don't think he's probably going to get the job done here. I think Brunson is going to be able to control the pace of the fight and at least grind Herman out for decision win. If not, maybe take us back, submit him, something like that as well. Or if Herman is at that point or that stage in his career where his chin just gives up and lets him down, then I could see him get knocked out. So it's Brunson's fight to win or lose. I think if his chin holds up, he's going to probably win this fight. So you got to side with Brunson here. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and what makes Brunson really likable here is the fact that I think he's a much stronger, much more physical, and the much better wrestler. And he knows it, so he uses it. Just look at his last fight against Lorenz Larkin. Larkin is a guy that was much more dynamic and dangerous than Ed Herman, and Brunson was all over him, never gave him a chance to breathe, and just repeatedly looked to take him down. And, just got on top and rode out the decision victory. Now, against Ed Herman, Brunson might feel enough confidence to stand and trade a little bit. You saw that he has a little bit of stand-up skill in his fight against Yoel Romero. He landed some big shots, had Romero in some trouble. So, this is a guy that is dynamic when he wants to be. When he's on the feet, he looks for that left high kick. It's very dangerous, and if it connects, it's going to cause some serious problems for Herman. Herman, has a great chin, but he is very hittable. Very hittable. And Brunson could definitely tee off on him on the feet. But if he wants to play it safe, I can definitely see Brunson just shooting in, getting takedowns, getting Herman on his back, and keeping him there. Just like Jake Shields did when he fought him. So, honestly, this is absolutely Derek Brunson's fight to lose. Ed Herman, in my opinion, is on a bit of a decline. He's getting up there in years. He's had multiple knee injuries. He just does not pack that same explosion. He's a grind-it-out type of guy, and he just does not grind it like Derek Brunson does. So my pick is going to be Derek Brunson. Now, Reed, what do the numbers tell us for this one?
Well, I'm in agreement. I think this is Brunson's fight all day long. I mean, he is younger, he's bigger, he's a southpaw, and Ed Herman, he's 34, but a little bit older in fight years, as they say. He's maybe hasn't lived the healthiest lifestyle outside of the cage, and that has taken its toll. And here's a guy, he hasn't been necessarily chinny in the past, but as he advances and gets older, that's going to wear on him. He's now been hit in the head in the UFC over 400 times. And his head strike defense is among the lowest I've ever seen in the UFC. So he does get hit a lot. And can he take a hard punch from the bigger southpaw, who is a pretty strong guy and fairly aggressive and accurate with his strikes? That's a bad combination. So I think on the feet, it definitely favors Brunson, as the more dangerous fighter. And then there's also the wrestling aspect. I think Brunson can grind out on the mat. Herman has been pretty good with submissions in the past. I don't think Brunson will fall prey to that. He's got some wrestling in his background. He's working on his jiu-jitsu game. He has yet to actually be submitted, so that's a plus for him. So I don't really see a path to victory here for Ed Herman. And more than that, I think we're also going to start to see Ed Herman break down a little bit, which is dangerous. I mean, it's sad to say he's been around the game for a long time. He's on one of the very early seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, and it's tough to say that he's breaking down when he's still, at an age where he should be able to fight. But he has been very risky in the past. And so coming off a win, which was an impressive performance earlier this year against Rafael Natal, I just don't see him getting it done here.
Now, dropping down to the lightweight division, we have Jamie Varner, who is 21-10-1 with 2 no contests, taking on Drew Dober, who's 14-6. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
Up in Varner minus 300, the comeback on Dober plus 220, and looking at the line right now, it's actually minus 350 for Varner, plus 250 for Dober, so a little bit more action coming in Varner's way. Not that surprised. I mean, Varner has been a fan favorite for a long time, and he's got the skill set that put him to the top, towards the top at least, of the UFC division for a while. I mean, of course, former WEC champion as well. So Varner has been around the game for a long time, and I mean, he's got the wrestling, he's got the boxing, he's got the submission skill. He's just a well-rounded, complete fighter. But the problem with Varner, in my opinion, is he tends to fight to the level of his competition. So you stick Varner in there with a guy that's a quality opponent or a title contender, he's going to probably hang and do well in most cases, with that title contender. But if you stick him against a lower tier type of fighter, he kind of fights at the level of competition and doesn't perform as well. And he makes things interesting in that aspect too. So I don't know. To me at least, there's a lot of question marks, surrounding Jamie Varner. I mean, if you look at his last fight, of course, he was in an awesome fight. I mean, what a fun fight he had with, Trujillo. It wasn't actually his last fight. I take that back. It was a couple fights ago. His last fight was against Krause, where he had that ankle injury that unfortunately stopped that fight. But going back to the Trujillo fight, I mean, that was a firefight. It was going back and forth. It looked like he was about to win that fight, and he just got KO'd completely. So that, I kind of question his fight IQ a little bit there, but at the same time, overall, you know what you're getting with Varner. I mean, he's a very solid fighter. In most cases, and he's going to come and he's going to put on an exciting show. But Dober, I think, is going to get a little bit underrated, a little underestimated here. I think he's going to actually hang in there with Varner. Dober is a very aggressive fighter. He's got similar skill set as Varner. I mean, he's the type of guy that can get the fight to the floor. He's got a good submission game. He's got some decent stand-up to go along with it. So he's a well-rounded guy in his own right, and he's a powerful guy as well. But the problem is Varner just has, I think, a clear edge in almost every category across the board over Dober. So it's going to be a tough fight for Dober to win. If it hits the scorecards, you got to think that Varner does enough to win the fight there. As far as finishing ability goes, I think Varner is a step ahead of him there as well. So this is going to be a very difficult fight for Dober to win. But I think if it does hit the scorecards, I mean, both these guys have a tendency to fade as the fight goes on. But I think if it does hit the scorecards, Dober can make things interesting, especially with his aggression. Varner does have a tendency to fade. And that's the one thing that bothers me about Varner. Sometimes when a fight's a little bit difficult, or when a fight's not really going his way, he tends sometimes to fold up and just kind of almost quit. I hate to say that, but it seems to be true sometimes. So I don't think Dober's the type of fighter that's going to make him do that. But I think if we get in round 2 and we get in round 3, I think those rounds are going to be a little bit closer. And Dober has, again, the heart and the toughness that he's going to come to fight, and he's going to come to win as well. So I think round 2 and round 3 is going to be fairly competitive, and we could see a very close competitive decision. So in my opinion, honestly, it's a dog or pass situation here, and there could very well be some value on Dober. Now, I know that sounds a little crazy because I said clearly across the board, Varner has some advantages all the way through, and I do believe that. I just think that with the state of MMA judging these days, and with Dober's aggression, I know he has a tendency to fade a little bit too, but with his aggression in this spot, that there's a few question marks, I think, along with Varner at this point of his career. You never know. I think Dober can be competitive. I sure as heck wouldn't lay the juice in Varner in this spot. I would wait and see how he rebounds from that ankle injury to his last fight from Krause. And again, Varner's had some difficult matchups recently. So, this isn't going to be, I think, a walk in the park, but it's a fight that more times than not Varner should win. So it's not like I'm going on a limb and picking Dober here. I do believe that Varner should win this fight more times than not. So my official pick is going to be Varner. I just can't honestly lay the juice in this spot against, Dober. That's all I'm saying. So my pick is going to be Varner to win the fight.
Jamie Varner is just better than Drew Dober in every facet of this fight. He has more power. He has better boxing. He has better wrestling. He's a little bit physically bigger and stronger. And I just don't see where Drew Dober stacks up here. Basically, the only thing Dober has going for him is he can push a good pace, and maybe his conditioning will hold out a little bit longer than Varner's. But regardless, basically in a stand-up war, these guys are going to be trading, and Varner's shots are going to sting so much harder than Dober's. Dober's definitely more of that type of fighter that goes in there and lands shots, and it's more points. When Jamie Varner lands shots, he's trying to finish the fight, and he's trying to knock you out and take your head off. And if Varner comes in with that same mentality as he had in the Trujillo fight, I think he goes out and absolutely flatlines Drew Dober. Like, Drew Dober honestly just shouldn't belong in the octagon with Jamie Varner. And I'm being serious here. The only thing that scares me is sometimes Varner's head isn't in the game. Obviously, he had that stretch outside the UFC where in between his WEC run and the UFC that he lost some fights that he had no business losing, like Dakota Cochran. So, he can have letdown spots against guys that he should convincingly beat. And then, UFC debut, he knocks out Edson Barboza in the first round. So, the guy is capable of amazing feats and also capable of very, very disappointing performances. So, it all boils down to which Jamie Varner shows up. How much does he have left in the tank? Like in his, 2 fights ago, he looked good, but broke his ankle. So fluke things can happen to him too. So, I'm picking Varner, but there are a couple things that make it a little scary to bet him. So, I'm just gonna stick with a pick and be happy about that. Now, moving up to the welterweight division, we have returning UFC fighter Joe Riggs, who is 28-9, taking on Ben Saunders, who is 17-6-2. Now, Nick, what's the MMA oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
Saunders opens minus 275 to come back on Riggs plus 195. And right now, looking over at the line, a little bit of respect coming in on Riggs. So the line is down to Saunders minus 245, the comeback on Riggs plus 175. Interesting. I mean, I realize the line might see a tad high because, I mean, you got to respect Joe Riggs. I mean, what he's accomplished throughout his whole career. He's training over at MMA Lab as well, so he's getting some good, solid training. And he kind of has had a resurgence in his career. I mean, he's a Bellator Fight Master champion, so it is what it is. But I mean, that is impressive because a lot of us, including myself, probably wrote Riggs off a long time ago. But I mean, the guy is definitely a talented fighter. He's got a lot of power. And he's got decent wrestling to go along with it. And he keeps on improving. I mean, overall, I think mentally and as far as intelligence goes, fight IQ goes, I think this is the best Riggs that, we've ever seen, honestly. So I'm glad he's coming back to the UFC, but he's got a tough test ahead of him here in Saunders. I mean, Saunders is obviously going to have a huge reach advantage, 7 inches, if I'm not mistaken. And Saunders is capable of finishing the fight on the ground or on the feet, as well. So the kryptonite for Saunders is if he fights a tremendous grappler, wrestler type of fighter that could put him on the ground, control him, avoid his sub game, and beat him that way. Or if you're Douglas Lima, on the other hand, and it just knocks Saunders out like that. So, that seems to be his kryptonite as well. But Saunders does have a little bit of a suspect chin. Both these guys honestly have a little bit of a suspect chin. I mean, Riggs has been knocked out 5 times and Saunders 3. So, there is definitely some chink in their armor there. So they questionable chins, but overall, I think, I mean, Saunders' kryptonite more so than anything else is just getting put on his back and controlled against a dominant grappler. Now, Riggs could get some takedowns here, and if he does, if he can avoid the sub game, he's going to make things interesting for sure, because I think Riggs is obviously the better pure wrestler. But to me, I just think that Saunders overall is a nightmare matchup for most people, and I think is including Riggs here. I think if Saunders is able to maintain the fight upright, I mean, his clinch game is devastating with his knee attack. He's got some power, and Riggs, under pressure, standing up against talented strikers, definitely tends to fold a little bit and get put out. So it's hard to imagine that along the way he doesn't end up losing this fight by some kind of finish here. But if it hits the scorecards, I could see it being a close competitive fight with Riggs actually edging it out. So I'm going to lean towards Saunders because I think he is the better, more capable finisher in this spot, even though Riggs has a ton of power and he's got overall decent quality game as well. I think defensively he's a little bit more flawed than Saunders. So I think Saunders is going to probably end up finishing Riggs along the way. But if not, it's going to be interesting if it's the scorecards. But my official pick has to be Saunders. I think he has more ways to win this fight.
While I understand the love of Ben Saunders here, there are a couple things that scare me. Obviously, as Nick mentioned, Saunders has had issues in the past with wrestlers. Guys that can take him down, keep him down. That's how he ended up getting cut from the UFC in the first place. Getting stuck in there against the likes of John Fitch. So I'm a little cautious to pick him here, mainly because Joe Riggs does have really good wrestling. He's been really using it a lot in recent fights, and that's how he was able to get back on this win streak and get back to the UFC is, he's really stuck to the ground game, and it's worked wonders for him. The guy is super experienced. He's been in there against some of the best in the world when they were in their primes. He has some really high quality victories in his career. So, you can't count him out. Obviously, if this fight stays standing, Joe Riggs is going to get absolutely brutalized. Ben Saunders, from the clinch, might have the most dangerous Muay Thai clinch in MMA. He lands elbows and knees with such authority and accuracy. It is absolutely devastating. The guy is a killer. On the ground, Saunders actually has a lot of advantages too. Obviously, his takedown defense is a huge liability, but when he's stuck on his back, he's actually extremely active. One of the most active fighters I've ever seen off of his back. And he's really been working with Eddie Bravo on the rubber guard. He uses that length very well on the ground. We saw that in his UFC return fight, most recently, where he was able to score that omoplata victory, which was crazy impressive. It looked extremely painful, put his opponent in a horrible position. Now, Joe Riggs, I don't see him getting caught with an omoplata. He's the type of guy that'll get on top, stay active, drop some punches, and look for submissions, try to soften you up. So, what I see happening here is either Joe Riggs is going to take Ben Saunders down for 3 rounds and win a decision, or Joe Riggs can't take Ben Saunders down and gets kneed in the face on a takedown attempt and knocked out cold. I really don't see Saunders submitting Riggs, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I think that Joe Riggs comes out and makes a splash in his UFC debut and beats Ben Saunders, taking advantage of that terrible takedown defense from Saunders. So we'll see just how good his rubber guard game is in this fight, but I think Joe Riggs is a live dog, so I'm going to pick him. Now dropping all the way down to the women's strawweight division, we have Claudia Gadelha, who is 12-0, taking on Joanna Jedrzejczyk, who is 7-0. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
Gadelha minus 210, the comeback on Jedrzejczyk plus 160, and this one's definitely interesting. The line has increased for Gadelha. It's minus 270. The comeback on Jedrzejczyk is plus 190 right now. So, I mean, both these girls have a tremendous amount of hype and popularity. I mean, coming into their UFC debuts, and then in this fight as well. I mean, throughout their career, I mean, they're very talented fighters, amongst the best at 115, no doubt about it. So, this is a great fight. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, there's no doubt about it that this is a very important fight as far as the women's 115 division too. I think realistically, the winner of this fight could potentially end up with a title shot. Brian and I were talking about this off air, and we both believe that. Now, of course, Gadelha is the favorite for a reason. I mean, it's her ground dominance. I mean, the girl excels on the ground. She has good wrestling, good takedowns. She could be nasty on the ground with her ground and pound. She's got good fight IQ again on the ground. She manages to get position when she wants to. She can submit you. And she's just relentless and keeps up a very high pace. And a lot of people can't deal with her pace on the ground and deal with her strength. I mean, she's just a beast, really, any way you cut it. She's strong, aggressive, and she had an impressive debut win as well in the UFC. So there's a lot of good things about Gadelha. A lot of people believe she might be the best 115-pounder in the world, and it's hard to argue that, really. Now, even standing, I said all those good things about Gadelha's ground game, but even standing, I mean, she's got effective striking in the clinch for sure. She's got some good knees, but all that's basically to set up her takedowns and control the ground game. Now, Jedrzejczyk, on the other hand, of course, she's more of a striking-based fighter for sure. She's a talented fighter. Again, tons of hype coming into her UFC debut, which she had an impressive debut win over Lima. She's well-rounded, but again, excels basically with her striking game, and she's fun to watch. I mean, her takedown defense is getting to the point where it's pretty impressive, and if she keeps things standing over most, with her kickboxing ability and with her striking, she's so technical and so aggressive and smooth on the feet that, she could do some serious damage to whoever she's fighting, I think, and especially at 115. So she's definitely a contender, a player in the 115 division. And if she continues to improve her weakness or her flaw, which is getting taken out and controlled a little bit, she's going to be a handful for most to deal with here. She is an aggressive fighter. She likes to push forward. And she even, you know what the unique thing about her, I mean, she's so smart on the feet that she digs to your body. She's just a nasty striker on the feet. So, you're going to have your typical striker versus grappler matchup here, and in most cases, the grapplers do have a tendency to get the fight to the floor and control and give the striker fits here. So I could see the same thing happening here, but especially in round one, I think Gadelha is going to be able to maintain control, take this fight to the ground, and probably have success. But as the fight goes on, I think Gadelha fades a little bit more than Jedrzejczyk does. So I think round two and round three is definitely going to be interesting, and if it hits the scorecards, we're going to see a competitive decision. And Jedrzejczyk could be a live dog in the spot, to be honest with you. I think a lot of people might be counting out how good her ability is to stuff and takedowns and then doing what she does best in striking on the feet. So it's a tough spot to lay juice and even include Gadelha in some parlays, because I think there's really not too much value at minus 270, but there could very well be value if you're getting Jedrzejczyk at plus 200, plus 190-ish, wherever the line ends up settling at, for sure, because it is going to be that type of competitive fight. And if Gadelha struggles taking a fight to the floor, make no mistake, Jedrzejczyk is going to make her pay for it. So officially, again, grappler versus striker type of matchup, I'm going to lean with Gadelha as an official pick, but as far as a betting standpoint, it's another one of those situations where it is a dog or pass situation, because Jedrzejczyk is going to be game. She knows what the plan for Gadelha is going to be. Now, knowing and taking care of it and adapting, there's two different things, so I'm not sure if she's going to be able to adapt the way she should or the way she wants to. So that's why I give the slight edge to Gadelha here, but this is going to be an awesome fight. Really looking forward to this fight, but my official pick is going to be Gadelha.
All right. Now, I do agree that Gadelha should win this fight, but I am so impressed with Jedrzejczyk. She is extremely dangerous if this fight stays standing and stays at distance. Now, Gadelha did slow down in her UFC debut a little bit, and if that happens, Jedrzejczyk could absolutely punish her with strikes. Jedrzejczyk has really big power in both hands. She throws kicks well. She throws knees well. She is a dynamo on the feet. She might be the most powerful women's 115-pounder in the world, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. This girl is dangerous. Gadelha, on the other hand, might be the strongest women's 115-pounder in the world. I mean, she is extremely, extremely powerful, and she can take you down and stay on top of you, drop bombs. This is just a pair of two of the best women's 115-pounders in the world, and I think, honestly, these two is going to be a better fight in terms of higher rankings than the winner of the Ultimate Fighter that's actually going to be crowned the champion. I really think very highly of both of these girls. Now, if Jedrzejczyk is able to avoid the takedown, keep distance, she can win this fight, absolutely. She can land some bombs, especially if Gadelha pushes forward like she did in her last fight and, throws those kind of stiff strikes that she's still working on. I mean, she's so muscular that she just doesn't have that fluidity to her striking yet. And Jedrzejczyk could absolutely punish her if she decides to stand and trade temporarily to set up a takedown. Now, if this fight goes to the ground, I think Jedrzejczyk will be in trouble. She's shown pretty good takedown defense in the past, but Lima did finally wear her down and get a takedown in the third round. I don't think it'll take 3 rounds for Gadelha to get a takedown because she is just so imposing. And I really feel like what's going to happen here is Jedrzejczyk will get something going at the beginning of every single round, and then Gadelha's going to take her down and just beat her up on the ground, and it's going to be very difficult for Jedrzejczyk to get up from what Gadelha brings. So I'm going to side with Gadelha, especially if she can get on top and stay on top for extended periods of time. She can win this fight by decision, by knockout, or by submission. She is a very dynamic fighter, and it really all boils down to whether or not Jedrzejczyk can stifle those takedowns. And the winner of this fight is absolutely the number 1 contender and should fight the winner of the Ultimate Fighter Season 20. So my pick is going to be Claudia Gadelha, but I completely understand why Nick says dog or pass, because Jedrzejczyk is extremely, extremely dangerous, and I can definitely see both of these girls fighting for a title within the next year or two, regardless of who wins. Now, moving up to the flyweight division, we have John Moraga, who's 15-3, taking on late promotional newcomer Willie Gates, who's 11-4. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
Up in Moraga, minus 400. The comeback on Gates, plus 280. And right now it's minus 420 for Moraga. The comeback is plus 300. So a little bit more parlay action coming in on Moraga. Nothing crazy though yet. The line seems to be about right. Now we could see that continue to climb up for Moraga. I mean, you're looking at a guy at flyweight that was a title contender and has fought the best of the best right now, in the UFC 125 division, and fighting a guy that's taking a fight on short notice in Gates. And it just simply should be outclassed overall. But make no mistake, Gates is going to come in here, and he's going to be a little dangerous because, I mean, Moraga, technically speaking, Moraga has advantages almost in, again, every area across the board here. But Gates does have some physical attributes over Moraga. I mean, he's tall for the weight class. He's huge, really. He's 5'9", so he's going to have some reach advantages over here, over Moraga for sure. And he's got some power to go along with it. Now, Gates is more of he's a talented up-and-coming fighter for sure, known more for his striking for sure. He's aggressive on the feet, throws with power, uses his kicks often, in the mix with everything. And he's got a really solid clinch attack as well, good knees, and he can be devastating in that aspect. He's fast, he's athletic, he's explosive. And overall, he's got decent takedown defense, but is definitely also vulnerable on the ground and can be put on his back and can be submitted. So, those are his flaws. Even though he is improving in that aspect of his game, he's still weak in that area too. So Moraga should be able to take advantage, I think, of that. I think Moraga obviously has some good striking to go along with it too. So again, Moraga just basically outclasses Gates in almost in every area. I think Gates is going to be powerful, he's going to be strong, he's going to be dangerous, but Moraga, he's been in there with some of the best in the world, so he's going to be able to adapt. Even if things start off kind of rough for him, I think he's going to be able to adapt and get the fight to the ground eventually. And once the fight's on the floor, I think Moraga's skill set as far as pure BJJ is going to come into play here, and he'll probably end up submitting Gates. If not, he could get positional control, drop some bombs, and finish him that way as well. So it's Moraga's fight to win or lose. No doubt about it. And, it's a tough debut for Gates, but I can understand it. I mean, if you're getting the opportunity to come in here and make your UFC debut, even if it is against a top tier opponent like, Moraga, I mean, if Gates somehow gets the upset win here, I mean, right away he's going to be on the map. So I can understand why he's taking this, but it's just, unfortunately for him, I think it's not going to end up well for him. So I do think Moraga comes away with the victory here.
And I understand that line of thinking. Willie Gates just isn't up to that level of competition yet. He's not even close, especially if you look at his recent opposition. Just like Deshaun Johnson, Willie Gates basically got all of his wins except for one in that one sham promotion. I think his opponents were a combined 2-28 or 2-38. And, he was able to get a bunch of really quick victories to pad his record a little bit and get on a big win streak. Now, obviously, his last win over Sandoval earned him this UFC appearance, so I'll give him a little bit of credit there where it's due, but he just doesn't hold a candle to John Moraga. John Moraga's only ever lost fights to John Dodson and Demetrius Johnson, so the top two guys in the division, and he's beaten everybody else. I mean, he finished Justin Scoggins in his last fight, a really hyped prospect, and obviously finished recent title challenger Chris Carriasso. So Moraga knows what he's doing. He has a really good guillotine choke. He has some good power on the feet. He has some decent wrestling in his own right. It's not amazing. It could definitely be better, and he has been taken down in the past, but that's not going to be a problem here. Willie Gates, what he has going for him is he's long, he's tall, he has power, and he can hit really hard, at least for a short bit of time. So Moraga has to protect his chin and go out there and take care of business. And that probably means putting a lot of pressure on Gates, get inside on him. Don't let him work in space. I can really see Moraga winning this fight however he chooses. He just needs to be aggressive, cautiously aggressive without walking into anything. And he should come out there and probably get a finish. So my pick is going to be John Moraga.
Now moving all the way up to the heavyweight division, we have Gabriel Gonzaga, who is 16-8, taking on Matt Mitrione, who is 8-3. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
Mitrione minus 150, comeback on Gonzaga plus 110. That was my opening number. Right now, it's actually minus 130 for Mitrione. The comeback on Gonzaga is at minus 110. So early support on Gonzaga coming in. Make no mistake, Gonzaga is the better fighter overall. I mean, skill set for skill set, I think Gonzaga is more well-rounded for sure. He's got knockout power in the feet. He's more versed in his attack on the feet. And of course, he's got some underrated wrestling at times, and his jiu-jitsu's off the hook. So if he gets a fight to the floor, he could finish most heavyweights, no doubt about it. So Gonzaga has a skill set to make life miserable for Mitrione, no doubt about it. But what you see here in Mitrione, even though he's a year older, I think he's a still fresher fighter in fight years. I think that he is developing his skill set at a decent pace. I mean, he's improving every time we see him. His athleticism, his size, just everything about his stand-up game, I think is going to give Gonzaga some fits. So this is a spot where both these guys are heavy hitters for sure. So either one of them can land and knock each other out. I just think Mitrione's chin is a little bit more stable at this point. If he lands, he's going to do some serious damage on Gonzaga, and I think he's probably more prone to get the knockout win over Gonzaga than vice versa. But that being said, if Gonzaga is able to get this fight to the floor, make no mistake, Gonzaga is probably going to submit Mitrione. So that's where the danger lies here. So Mitrione has to come in here, has to have decent takedown defense, and has to control the tempo of the fight and use that athleticism and that power and that skill set on the feet to do some damage on Gonzaga's suspect chin. And I think he probably will do that. More times than not, I think Mitrione will get the knockout over Gonzaga, especially at this stage in their career. I think there's more upside in Mitrione's game overall, and he can make somewhat of a run towards the title. And for Gonzaga, I think basically he's going to be in that gatekeeper role from here on out as well. So I think there's more upside to Mitrione. I think he is going to get the win here. So my official pick is going to be Mitrione. And depending on where the line goes, I mean, if it stays near pick'em, there might be some value on Mitrione as well.
Yeah, and this fight is a little scary in both directions. Obviously, Matt Mitrione has a big power and striking advantage against Gabriel Gonzaga, and if he connects with something solid, Gonzaga is going to be in big trouble. That's happened throughout his career. But Gabriel Gonzaga is not a bad striker in his own right. He has a very dangerous high kick, as we've seen time and time again, and he does have some pretty good punching power. And he's got a fantastic jiu-jitsu game. If he can get on top of Mitrione, this is a no-brainer. This fight will be over. When Matt Mitrione got taken down against Brendan Schaub, he got put to sleep. So if Brendan Schaub can do it, Gabriel Gonzaga can do it 100 times better. It just all depends on whether or not Gabriel Gonzaga can put Matt Mitrione on his back and submit him. Otherwise, I think in open space, Matt Mitrione is a much better athlete. Matt Mitrione is more dynamic. He's much more dangerous with punches and kicks. And at some point, Mitrione's going to clip Gonzaga if this stays standing for too long. Gonzaga just does not have the gas tank. And I really do think that Mitrione is just a much more explosive, dynamic, and dangerous fighter in the stand-up realm. So it all will depend on who's able to implement their will here. And while it is very scary to pick Mitrione because he can be submitted so easily if Gonzaga gets him down, I'm gonna side with them here because I just think that he has a little bit more potential and is still improving quite a bit. So I'm going with Matt Mitrione, but it is a tentative pick. So, Reed, what do the numbers tell us for this one?
Well, they agree. It's close, but Mitrione's advantages on the feet are enough of an advantage that assuming he learned his lesson against Brendan Schaub not to get taken down and submitted, he should be able to avoid that because Gonzaga is a smaller opponent than Brendan Schaub was. And Schaub was just, a big athletic guy. He has a long reach, which means snatching those legs, trying to go for takedowns. Gonzaga here is at a 6-inch reach disadvantage and just doesn't have the takedown game that I think he'll need to get Mitrione down. So he's got to close range. Gonzaga has to close range, get him on the mat in order to submit him. It's definitely his best path to victory here. Not to say that he doesn't have good hands, but against a much bigger and athletic guy like Mitrione, that's an uphill battle. And Mitrione, his advantages are everywhere, really, on the feet. He's much more accurate. He's got a better pace of striking, significantly better pace, and better defense and a better chin. So he's perfectly capable of clipping Gonzaga on the way in. If Gonzaga gets too aggressive going for the takedowns. And if they just box it out, it's probably Mitrione with a big speed advantage that gets him through round to round. So I do see enough advantages for Mitrione. And again, the storyline here is whether or not Gonzaga can get him down and hold him down to start working the submission game. That's the real trick to this fight. It makes it intriguing for that reason, for the stylistic mismatch. But I am like you guys admitting it's very dangerous because of Gonzaga's weapons, but also leaning towards Mitrione.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Reed. Now, sticking with the heavyweight division, we have a very interesting matchup between Alistair Overeem, who is 37-14 with 1 no contest, taking on Stefan Struve, who is 29-6. Now, Nick, what's the MMA Oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
Tricky one. I opened Overeem minus 245, the comeback on Struve plus 175. Right now the line is minus 260 plus 180. So just a little bit more action coming in on Overeem overall, and I'm sure a lot of that's parlay action coming in early. Tough one because, Overeem's looked so bad. When he first came into the UFC, everybody was expecting some big things. He was supposed to be the title contender. Right now he's fighting for his job, which is kind of scary. He has that somewhat impressive performance and win over Frank Mir. But outside of that, look at his fights with Antonio Silva. He was doing well, but his chin let him down in that fight. Against Travis Brown, you can say the same thing. And then in his last fight against Rothwell, wow. Credit to Rothwell, but he did what he had to do. But Overeem, again, has just looked terrible. So Struve has been out for so long. He hasn't fought since March of 2013. So there's a lot of variables that come into play in this fight because Struve was obviously supposed to fight Mitrione actually at UFC 175, but problems pre-fight obviously prevented that with the locker room. He wasn't feeling too good. You guys all know the scoop on that. So he wasn't able to actually come out and they canceled the fight. So we have those concerns with Struve as well. Now, skill set for skill set, both these guys are really well-rounded heavyweights. Struve has some skill on the feet. He obviously has a great submission game. He's got a tremendous amount of reach over most in the division as well. And he knows how to use everything. And Struve was at a point in his career where he was really, picking up some momentum. I mean, he was looking good. He was doing well. He was gaining more respect. And he was definitely a key player in the UFC heavyweight division, until he started having these health problems. So, I don't know. I'm just not sure what Struve we're going to see here. I mean, he's been out for so long, and with the health problems and with the recent occurrence, I'm just not sure he's going to come in here and perform as well as he should. And at the same time, you could say the same thing with Overeem. I mean, he's just looked so bad that I'm not sure what Overeem we're going to see. I think overall, Overeem, it's his fight to win or lose because I think Overeem has the better wrestling. If he wants to get this fight to the ground, he should be able to get Struve to the ground. Now, a lot of heavyweights usually don't want to tangle on the ground too much with Struve, but Overeem has a decent submission game in his own right. He has missed up before in the past, I realize that, so it wouldn't shock me if Struve catches him something, but more times than not, Overeem really shouldn't. He should be able to control the pace of the fight, should be able to get the takedown if he wants it, should be able to land some nasty ground and pound, and at least control the action that way. On the feet, Overeem is powerful, strong enough that he can land that blow that puts Struve out as well. I mean, he's got that much power on the feet. But you could say again, I mean, Overeem's been chinny, to say the least. He's been knocked out 9 times now in his career, and he's had several wars. I mean, that's not even including K1 and his kickboxing battles. So it wouldn't surprise me if Struve catches him on the feet either. So this is a dangerous fight as far as betting goes. But as far as a pure pick goes, I think you have to side with Overeem. He's got more ways to win this fight. I think there's a little bit more question marks surrounding Struve right now at this point. But if the line gets ridiculous, then it could be a dog or pass situation, no doubt about it, because I really don't have a lot of faith in Overeem at this point. I'd like to see how he performs here, and hopefully he gets back on track and he starts looking good. But I mean, I'm kind of split on this fight. I'm going to be rooting, I guess, for Overeem slightly. Depends on obviously where the sports books and where this line goes a little bit, but my official pick is going to be Overeem.
This fight could go either way, mainly because neither guy has a very good chin. So, Stefan Struve, if he connects with anything solid, Overeem's going down. Struve has some pretty good power. He displayed it, in the Christian Moorcraft fight. He's shown it in multiple other fights. So he has enough power to put Overeem down. As we've seen, it doesn't take a lot to really hurt Overeem. I mean, in his last fight, Ben Rothwell didn't even hit him that hard, and he got him in big trouble before just, unleashing fury on him. So it doesn't take much, and if Struve gets Overeem in trouble, he's gonna lose. Like, Overeem just does not have that ability to come back. When he gets hurt, he fades really badly. So, obviously on the flip side, while Stefan Struve doesn't get one punch knocked out a lot, he gets one punch knocked down a lot. We've seen that time and time again. Guys, obviously big heavy hitters like Brendan, or like Travis Brown, Junior Dos Santos, Mark Hunt, all these guys that have been in there with Struve, they've landed that one big shot that really put Struve in trouble. Even Paul Buentello. So that is something you gotta consider, because while Overeem's chin is terrible and he's unreliable, he does have really good power, he's very accurate, and he still has excellent kickboxing skills. So it's not going to be incredibly difficult for Overeem to land that one big shot on Struve's chin. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight ends up being a lot more boring than people expect, because as we saw in the last time that Overeem's job was on the line, he faced Frank Mir. He just took him down for 3 straight rounds and laid on him, and Overeem could definitely do that. Struve does not have the best takedown defense, and while Struve does have a dynamic grappling game, Overeem is a very good grappler in his own right and should have enough submission defense to just stay in Struve's guard and win a decision. Honestly, that could be the way that this fight plays out if Overeem doesn't want to take the risk of standing and banging with a guy that has a big size and reach advantage on him. So, I'm gonna pick Alistair Overeem, and I think he actually ends up using his wrestling to win this one. But honestly, you can't trust either guy's chin. Probably can't trust Overeem's more. Now, Reed, what do the numbers tell us for this one?
Well, I think I'm in agreement on most of these points, and I do think that, with the uncertainty around Stefan Struve in this return, it makes this fight maybe one to avoid. There's also uncertainty with Overeem. I mean, this guy was knocked out 3 months ago, and he's already back in the cage, which means he was training 2 months ago, that's a red flag for me. When you sustain concussions, you should be taking more time off. And this is a guy who's been knocked out in 3 of his last 4 fights. So, betting Overeem as a favorite has burned a lot of people plenty of times. He really has shown that, as good as he is offensively, when he gets hit, he goes down. Now on a punch for punch basis, they have, Struve and Overeem actually have almost identical knockdown rates. And yet when it comes to the chin, people think Struve is a glass jaw or something because he's been knocked out a few times. But on a punch for punch basis, Overeem is far worse. So the question is, whose game wins out here? Is it going to stay on the feet? Is Overeem going to blast some body kicks like he always does? Or is Stefan Struve somehow going to get this to the ground and be throwing up crazy triangles and arm bars all over the place, which for a big man just come out of nowhere. He has an excellent submission game, and his rate of submission attempts is one of the highest in the UFC, definitely for a heavyweight. So both these guys are dangerous in different ways. If they go toe to toe though, if either one of them lands a hard shot, I think the other guy will go down. And so Overeem, yes, he's a little bit more accurate. He's probably also not used to facing someone with Struve's reach, because Struve will have the reach advantage, and Struve is pretty accurate himself. He also throws more volume. So I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainties here. Again, the out of the ring stuff really, I think is important enough and may steer me away from this one. I can understand why Overeem is a favorite. I think he's always had, you recognize his strength and his power and his knockout ability, and you throw him in with a guy who's had some health issues, been out of the cage, maybe not the highest confidence right now, but I would not count Struve out here. He has always been dangerous, and he has survived some beatings before and still come back to win. So, I'm probably avoiding this, and I'm interested to see how far the line goes because, a Struve inside the distance prop, if presenting enough value, could be a fun play.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, Reed. Now this takes us to the co-main event of the evening between Rafael dos Anjos, who is 22-7, taking on Nate Diaz, who is 18-9. Now, Nick, where did you open this fight, and how's the public shifted things so far?
RDA minus 190, the comeback on Diaz plus 150, and this line has stayed steady. It's minus 195 right now, plus 155 on Diaz. I think it's Dos Anjos' fight to win or lose, honestly. I know Diaz, I have a tremendous amount of respect for the Diaz brothers, period. I mean, the way they fight, you gotta enjoy their style and just their overall ability. I mean, they can beat you on the feet, they can beat you on the ground, and they bring it. I mean, they show up to win and they show up to perform. So, gotta respect that. And Diaz really climbed the ladder fairly well. I mean, recently, before all that contract controversy and everything that he had going on, with him. I mean, he was on his way, obviously, in title contention again. He was climbing that ladder. I mean, his win over, Gray Maynard was very impressive, but the problem is he hasn't fought since then, since November 2013. So with that time off, I'm not sure what kind of Diaz we're going to see. It's probably a little good though, because he started getting tagged. And one thing about Nate Diaz's striking defense that bothers me a little bit is he does eat too many punches as well. And even though he's got a pretty solid chin overall, I mean, obviously in his fight with, Josh Thompson, it started taking its toll. And I mean, Thompson was able to finish him by TKO, which was a surprise to most of us. So the defense has to tighten up a little bit for Diaz. He cannot afford to keep on taking those kind of shots from people, and RDA can definitely deliver that. I mean, Rafael dos Anjos right now, his confidence level has to be at an all-time high. I mean, that was an impressive stoppage over former UFC lightweight champ Ben Henderson. His win again before that against Jason High was impressive as well. So he's put himself in a great position here, and stylistically, he has a wrestling that can pose a lot of problems for Diaz. I mean, RDA has underrated wrestling. I know he got dominated by Khabib in his fight recently as well in that aspect, but usually, I mean, fighters don't have their way with Rafael dos Anjos, even in the wrestling realm. He's usually the one that gets control, gets the fight to the floor, dictates the tempo of the fight, and is able to be successful in doing so. So I think for Dos Anjos to be successful here, he's going to have to do that sort of same thing. I know he's confident and he's good enough to hang with Diaz on the feet. He's able to do some damage on the feet as well. But I think what's going to win him this fight is his ability to get the fight to the floor. He's not going to get submitted. He shouldn't get submitted, at least, from Nate Diaz's guard. Diaz has a very capable guard, but against a BJJ practitioner like RDA, I don't see that happening really. So RDA should be able to control the fight on the ground. He should be able to control the tempo of the fight and the pace of the fight on the feet as well. The only concern for me really is cardio. You got to give the edge to Diaz. I mean, Dos Anjos does have a tendency to fade as the fight goes on. He slows down. If he shows up with even a little bit of suspect cardio in this spot, round 2 and round 3 are going to be very interesting because Diaz does like to bring it. I mean, he pushes forward. He doesn't have that one punch knockout power, but again, he throws a variety of punches and he's always in your face. He makes life miserable for you. So I could see Diaz maybe stealing round 2 and round 3. So you got to be cautious here a little bit. That's, I think, the dangerous part of this fight, especially with the state of MMA judging. We say it all the time. Who knows how they're going to score fights anymore? So that's the wild card factor here, I think. I don't see a finish in this fight. If it is going to be a finish, I think RDA maybe catches Diaz again and clips him and puts him out. I doubt that happens. I think we probably see this fight hit the scorecards. And if we do, we should see Dos Anjos grinding out a close competitive decision win. That's how I think it's going to play out. Could be wrong, but I have to officially lean towards RDA in this spot.
The only thing that scares me in this fight is Dos Anjos' gas tank. The guy, in my opinion, has all the advantages on Nate Diaz other than maybe height, but in terms of pure strength, I think pure technical striking ability, Dos Anjos is actually better. And on the ground, Dos Anjos has better wrestling, and the jiu-jitsu is a bit of a wash. And there's no way Nate Diaz is submitting Rafael Dos Anjos unless he hurts him first. So, honestly, this is a very interesting fight, but it all boils down to, can Rafael Dos Anjos win a decision, or can Rafael Dos Anjos finish Nate Diaz before he gasses? Because we've seen this time and time again. Dos Anjos is a guy that can start very strong, as you saw in that last fight against Benson Henderson, just got a knockout right away. If that fight had gone to a decision, I don't think Dos Anjos would have won it. So, against Nate Diaz, it's the same type of situation. Dos Anjos is going to come out very strong. He is a very physical and very imposing type of lightweight. He can really bully Nate Diaz around the cage if he wants to with his offensive grappling and with his striking, because with the way Nate Diaz fights, he has that high volume, high pace, in your face type of trash talking offense. And that plays right into Dos Anjos' striking, because Dos Anjos is a very good counter striker. His counter right hook and left hook are devastating. And if Nate Diaz is just walking forward talking a bunch of crap with his hands down, he's going to walk right into something and get absolutely destroyed. Nate Diaz has been knocked down multiple times in his career. It took until Josh Thompson before someone finally actually finished him by strikes. But that just proves that it can be done. And in my opinion, Dos Anjos has much more dangerous head kicks and pure punching power than Josh Thompson. So he could absolutely finish Nate Diaz if he connects with something solid. Now, if Dos Anjos starts to slow down, Nate Diaz pushes an incredible pace and he will overwhelm him. And I would not be shocked to see Dos Anjos get finished in the late second or third round, even if he starts really strong here. So he really has to be careful about using all of his energy early. And, but otherwise, Dos Anjos is my pick. I just think he's the much more, technically superior fighter in almost every area. Just conditioning. Conditioning is a killer. And, as long as Dos Anjos' conditioning is in check, he's gonna win this fight. If not, then Nate Diaz can win it late. So my pick is Rafael Dos Anjos. Now, Reed, what do the numbers tell us for this one?
Well, you guys are spot on. Nate Diaz, he's going to have some basic advantages, like the fact that he has a 5-inch reach advantage and he's a southpaw. But when it comes to striking, his game is all about pressure and volume. He's a good, accurate striker. He moves forward. You guys mentioned his volume and his trash talking and aggressiveness. This guy averages 19 strikes per minute while standing, which is far and away the highest on the card here. And he tends to outwork opponents by 77% in volume. So he is definitely that guy. He moves forward, he's aggressive, and he just, bullies people. And he's precise with those strikes, but his knockdown rate is actually pretty low. So he is not the one punch kind of guy. He's, the accumulation of damage kind of guy. RDA on the opposite side is the exact opposite. He is low pace, low cage control, low accuracy, but high on power. 5 knockdowns to his credit. He's put people away, and, his chin and defense is actually a little bit sturdier than Nate Diaz, who takes a little bit more of a risky approach. So, round to round, Diaz pursuing and, using his volume game, as long as he doesn't get clipped, he might be able to steal some stand-up. Now on the ground, RDA is the better wrestler, but Diaz has been more effective, at least, in throwing up submissions and working off of his back. So I do see that kind of canceling each other out. I think the ground is going to be a wash that might even favor Dos Anjos because I don't see him getting submitted, and his top control would probably win some points on the card. So I see him maybe losing points backing up against Diaz, being outgunned in size and volume, but winning on the mat. So this is a really, really close matchup. It's also a stylistic contrast, which makes it even more interesting. So I expect this to be pretty competitive. In terms of finishing potential, I agree with you. I think, an RDA catching Diaz across the chin, surprising him, as a counter striker might be the only way this ends early, or Diaz simply overwhelming him much later in the fight. There are enough advantages slightly to go Dos Anjos, with not a lot of confidence. It'll be interesting to see where the lines end up, but otherwise, this is a really close and tough to call fight.
All right, excellent. Thanks, Reed. Now this takes us to the main event of the evening between former champion Junior Dos Santos, who is 16-3, taking on Stipe Miocic, who is 12-1. Now, Nick, what's the MMA oddsmaker's perspective on this one?
I opened JDS minus 270, the comeback on Stipe plus 190, and right now it's been pretty much all one way action. Not that surprised, but JDS is minus 420, the comeback on Stipe is plus 335. So more support coming in on JDS, of course. I mean, honestly, for most of us, we all know that there's basically been two people that have excelled above everybody else in the UFC heavyweight division, JDS and Kane. I mean, beyond that, everybody else is just kind of fighting for a spot and kind of fighting their way up towards a title shot. But those guys, JDS and Kane, have been the class of the UFC heavyweight division, and nobody's really even come close to those guys. So Stipe's made one of those runs, and he's really improving and proved that he deserves to be at least in the mix as far as a title fight pitcher is concerned. And if he gets his win over JDS, he's definitely going to get that shot, I think. But it's a tough matchup. I mean, JDS has a lot of advantages in this fight. Of course, we all know that there's not too many better, with their hands and with their knockout power than JDS. He's got that going for him. I think even though Stipe has a wrestling background, JDS is definitely game there as well. I mean, if you look back at some of his performances, Junior Dos Santos has been able to use his offensive wrestling fairly well, even against a guy like Kane or against a guy like Shane Carwin. He was able to actually take Carwin down and control him there too. So JDS underrated in the wrestling department. JDS is a stud on the feet with a ton of knockout power, and Stipe is going to be in for a tough challenge here. But of course, I got to point out, and I'm going to let everybody know right away, I'm going to be a little biased in this fight. I think Stipe is an Ohio guy. I know him personally, so I'm going to lean towards Stipe because I think that he's got a chance in this fight, especially the timing of it right now. JDS has been out for so long. He hasn't really competed since that beating to Cain Velasquez in October of 2013. And before that, he was in there in a war with Hunt, and then again before that, he was again in another hard fight, a fight that he took a lot of damage against Velasquez. So I'm not sure what kind of JDS we're going to see at this point. I think that Stipe is getting him at the right time, and Stipe's improvement, his confidence. I know personally that Stipe's wanted this fight. He believes he can beat JDS. And I think he's getting him at the right time. With the cage rest factor coming into play here, with all the concerns, and I'm just not sure how much JDS has left in the tank as far as, those beatings from Kane were just brutal. So I think that's going to take a lot out of him. And I think that Stipe could very well be a live dog in this spot here. Again, I am a little biased. I want Stipe to pull through, obviously. So I'm going to pick Stipe, but I know it's a tough battle. And overall, you got to give the slight edge, of course, to JDS as far as skill set goes. He's got more ways to win this fight. And if JDS does show up and there is no cage wrestler, and that factor of those fights that he was just in those wars with Kane, with Hunt, don't come into play, and he looks fresh and he looks good, then JDS obviously can win this fight, no doubt about it. But I still think that Stipe is getting this fight at the right time. He's confident. He believes he can beat JDS, and I think that's going to come into play here. And I think Stipe might surprise everybody and end this fight and knock JDS out. So my official pick is going to be Stipe Miocic.
All right, and I'm going to come in here and hopefully not rain too much on Nick's parade, but honestly, on paper and skill for skill, this is absolutely Junior Dos Santos' fight to lose. The only thing that really scares me, as Nick mentioned, is the uncertainty around Junior Dos Santos. This could be, just Stipe Miocic picking the perfect time and coming in here when Dos Santos is vulnerable and getting the biggest win of his career. But overall, if this is Dos Santos, the same Dos Santos we've known and loved throughout his UFC career, then it's almost impossible that he does not win this fight, mainly because he is so good in terms of mixing it up with his boxing on the feet. He has a good chin. He has very good defensive wrestling normally, except unless you're Cain Velasquez, and even then, he gets back up. So I don't see a lot of ways to win here for Stipe unless he's able to keep it in boxing range, put pressure on Dos Santos, maybe push him into the fence like Cain did, and work him over. The main thing that scares me, as Nick mentioned, is Dos Santos has taken some beatings. In his last 3 fights, he's taken a lot of damage, and all 3 of them combined, they were wars, and that is very scary, and he is coming in off of a significantly long layoff, a bit of an injury layoff, so a lot of ring rust, a lot of damage taken in his career in the last 2 years, so he could be very vulnerable. This could be a very opportunistic moment for Miocic, but honestly, the one thing that does scare me with Stipe is conditioning has hurt him once in the past when he had a bit of an adrenaline dump against Stefan Struve. If he gets too hyped up for this fight, same thing could happen against Dos Santos. And I don't think Miocic has the greatest chin. He's tough, but Phil DeFries did rock him in their fight, even though Stipe finished him in a minute, and obviously Stefan Struve finished him. And if Stefan Struve can do it, if Phil DeFries can hurt him, then what happens if Junior Dos Santos connects with a bomb on him? Now, obviously, Miocic, he's going to come in with a good game plan. He had a great game plan against Roy Nelson, able to avoid that big power shot. But, I think Junior Dos Santos is a whole different monster. And if Dos Santos can connect with something really heavy, then I think Stipe is going to be in big trouble. But if Dos Santos doesn't, then Stipe could put enough pressure on him, could make this fight close enough and interesting enough that he could pull off the biggest win of his career. But I am going to pick Junior Dos Santos to get his career back on track on Saturday night. Now, Reed, what do the numbers tell us for this one?
Well, to some extent, they agree with both of you, even though there's very differing opinions here. Junior Dos Santos, he is arguably the best striker in the heavyweight division and heavyweight history. He is so fast, fluid, aggressive, accurate, and powerful on offense that I don't think anybody has as good a pure striking game as Junior Dos Santos. But defensively, he has been hit quite a bit, and he has been now dropped twice. And so you mentioned those wars that he had with Cain Velasquez and even Mark Hunt to some extent. That may have taken a toll. He has taken some shots in his career. And in this instance, he will have a 3-inch reach disadvantage to Stipe. And Miocic just simply hasn't taken the amount of damage that JDS has. So when it comes to the pure striking metrics, Miocic actually has good accuracy. He has an above average pace. He has generally good cage control. So he might be able to go toe to toe. He actually has the more durable chin, at least on paper, and better strike avoidance than JDS. So again, fairly even though JDS is arguably the best. Here's a guy that could hang with him for a short period of time. But JDS obviously will have the power advantage. He knows how to put people away. On the mat, we haven't really seen either of these guys spend a lot of time on the ground, but certainly Stipe was more successful there. He does have a reasonable takedown attempt rate and success rate. JDS has attempted very, very few takedowns in his UFC career. He's been in the cage for 2 hours of fight time, and he's only attempted 7 takedowns. Miocic, it's 3 times that many in much less cage time. So he is the more likely guy to want to put this on the mat. He has shown good ground control when he's been there, and Dos Santos has been put on his back for extended periods. So that might be one path to victory here, is to grind JDS down, wear him out a little bit, although arguably he does have more 5-round experience, and it's kind of a wash. We haven't really seen how Stipe will react in later rounds for a main event. A lot back and forth. If it's not against Cain Velasquez, I would never pick against Junior Dos Santos. He is that good. He is champion caliber. But based on the price, there is room for concern and reason maybe not to play the favorite here.
So that'll do it for our full event breakdown for UFC on Fox 13. Part 2 of the Premium Oddscast featuring our premium bets will be out Friday afternoon or evening following the weigh-in, so stay tuned for that if you're an MMAOddsBreaker.com premium member. If we have a free play to give out, make sure to follow at MMAOB Premium on Twitter because that's where we'll post them first. We can also notify you of our free bets via email if you prefer that method. Just send an email to picks@MMAOddsBreaker.com and we'll add you to our free bet mailing list. And last reminder, you can sign up to be an MMAOddsBreaker.com premium member. We have a sale going on throughout the rest of the holidays. It is a 4-event package for the price of 2, so check it out if you're interested and you want to become a premium member. Also, feel free to like the Premium Oddscast Facebook page. We post articles, show announcements, and plenty of other information there, so you can stay up to date on everything from us if you're interested. Special thanks to our sponsor, 5 Dimes. Good luck, everyone, and hopefully the betting gods are on your side this weekend.